Imagine this. Over 3,000 years ago, in the heart of ancient Egypt's most powerful dynasty, a conspiracy was born not on the battlefield, but within the sacred walls of the royal palace itself. A secondary wife, driven by ruthless ambition, enlisted dozens of high-ranking officials, magicians, and even guards to assassinate the pharaoh and seize the throne for her son. The plot succeeded in its most brutal goal. The god king was murdered in cold blood. But the full horror of how he died, a deep, fatal wound that modern science would finally uncover on his mummy, remained hidden for millennia. On this episode of Ancient Odyssey, we dive into one of the most chilling scandals of the ancient world, the harem conspiracy against Ramesses III around 1155 BC. This is the story of betrayal, dark magic, treason trials, and brutal executions, drawn straight from the surviving court records and forensic evidence that solved a 3,000-year-old mystery. We'll uncover the motives, the players, the night of the attack, the shocking trials, and the lasting impact on ancient Egypt's final days of glory. If you love the intrigue of ancient history, the drama of palace coups, and the revelations that science brings to the past, stay with us. If you're new here or haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button now and turn on notifications so you never miss an epic journey into the ancient world. Let's begin. As the sun set on the twilight of Egypt's imperial age, one ruler stood as the final bulwark against collapse. Ramesses III, who reigned from around 1186 to 1155 BC. He was the second king of the 20th dynasty, stepping into power amid economic strain, labor unrest, including the world's first recorded strike by tomb builders and relentless foreign threats. Yet Ramesses III rose to the challenge with extraordinary vigor. He repelled two massive invasions by the Libyans, capturing thousands and incorporating many into his armies. Most famously, he defeated the enigmatic, marauding confederations from across the Mediterranean, known as the Sea Peoples, in epic land and sea battles that saved Egypt from the fate that befell so many Bronze Age civilizations. His mortuary temple at Medinet Habu stands as a monumental testament to these victories, its walls covered in vivid reliefs depicting charging chariots, captured enemies, and the pharaoh smiting foes before the gods. He poured resources into temples across the land, from Thebes to Heliopolis, donating vast estates and ensuring the gods' favor. In the Great Harris Papyrus, his successor would later boast of these achievements, calling him the defender who restored order. But even as he celebrated his Hebsed Jubilee, the ritual renewal after 30 years of rule, cracks were widening. The empire was overstretched, resources depleted, and the palace itself harbored dangerous ambitions. Ramesses III, the mighty warrior king, would soon face his greatest threat not from invaders, but from within his own household. In ancient Egypt, the royal harem, known as the Ipet Neset or king's private quarters, was far more than a place of seclusion. It was a sophisticated institution, often housed in separate palace wings or dedicated complexes like those at Gurub or Medinet Habu. Here lived not just the pharaoh's wives and concubines, but also royal children, foreign princesses sent as diplomatic brides, musicians, servants, and administrators. The harem functioned as a self-contained world. It managed estates, oversaw weaving and brewing workshops, educated princes and princesses, and provided entertainment through song and dance for court ceremonies. Women held ranks, with the chief wife at the top and secondary wives and concubines below. They wielded influence through their sons' potential to inherit the throne. Yet this world of luxury bred fierce rivalries. Succession was never automatic. Every mother schemed to position her child as heir. Foreign brides brought alliances, but also divided loyalties. In the new kingdom's later years, with the pharaoh aging and the empire weakening, these tensions simmered into something deadly. The harem at Medinet Habu, where Ramesses III spent his final days, became the perfect storm of ambition and opportunity. At the heart of the plot stood Tai, a secondary wife of Ramesses III, never titled Great Royal Wife, but ambitious enough to challenge the order. Her goal was clear: to place her son, Pentar, on the throne instead of the designated heir, Ramesses IV, son of another wife, possibly Titi. Tai did not act alone. She enlisted a network of high officials and insiders who could breach the palace's security. Chief among them was Pebekamen, a chief of the pantry, who coordinated the scheme and spread seditious messages. Others included Mastasuria, a butler, Panheboni, an overseer of cattle, Panuk, overseer of the harem itself, Pendua, a harem clerk, and Peri, overseer of the treasury, who supplied a crucial pass for access to the king. Court magicians and scribes joined, stealing sacred texts to craft curses and wax figurines for magical attacks, blending practical treason with supernatural sabotage. Even some guards and women of the harem were drawn in. This was no impulsive rebellion. It was a calculated web of over 40 conspirators, reaching from the palace kitchens to the treasury. The motives ran deep. Ramesses III's long reign had brought glory but also strain, such as economic woes, strikes, and a sense among some officials that power was slipping. Tai saw her son's future blocked by Ramesses IV, and with the pharaoh celebrating his Hebsed in Thebes, the timing was ripe. The plotters used coded messages carried by servants beyond the harem's walls. They invoked dark magic, inscribing curses on figurines and invoking gods against the king. Pebekamen rallied support, urging rebellion against their lord. A pass from Peri would grant entry to the royal apartments in Medinet Habu's western tower. As the beautiful festival of the valley filled Thebes with celebration and distraction, the stage was set. On day 15 of the second month of Shimu in 1155 BC, the conspirators struck. Under the cover of festival revelry, the attack unfolded in the royal harem's inner sanctum. Armed conspirators, aided by insiders, reached Ramesses III. Forensic evidence from his mummy reveals the fatal blow, a deep slash across the throat, severing the trachea and major vessels, a wound so severe it would have caused rapid death. Modern CT scans show the cut was made with a sharp blade, likely a knife, and embalmers later inserted a Horus eye amulet and thick linen collar to conceal and heal it in the afterlife. There may have been additional wounds, including to the toe, suggesting multiple assailants. The god king fell, but the plot faltered. The conspirators failed to seize control or proclaim Pentar. Word of the attack spread swiftly. Ramesses IV, the legitimate heir, acted decisively. A special tribunal of 12 trusted officials, including treasury overseers, standard-bearers, and butlers, was appointed to investigate, likely in his father's name even after death. They interrogated suspects, uncovered the network, and arrested those involved. Some who knew of the plot but stayed silent were also punished. The trials, recorded meticulously, exposed every layer of betrayal. The Judicial Papyrus of Turin, our primary source, details 5 trials. Defendants were listed, often with derogatory nicknames like Mesed-Sura, which means Ra hates him, to condemn them eternally. The conspirators confessed under examination. Even some judges succumbed to seduction by harem women and faced punishment. The proceedings were thorough, emphasizing justice to deter future plots. The most active conspirators, such as Pebekamen and Mastasura, were sentenced to death but allowed to take their own lives, a merciful option for nobles. Pentar likely committed suicide. His mummy, known as Unknown Man-E, wrapped in goatskin as a mark of shame, shows a contorted face. For others, including corrupt judges, suffered mutilation, with their noses and ears cut off. Tai's fate remains unrecorded, possibly execution or obscurity. The swift justice restored order, but the dynasty was scarred. In the aftermath, Ramesses IV ascended, but the conspiracy accelerated the new kingdom's decline. Economic woes persisted, and later pharaohs struggled against fragmentation. The empire lost territories, and power shifted to the priesthood of Amun. Yet Ramesses III's legacy endures, as a defender against collapse, builder of wonders, and the last pharaoh whose name evoked true greatness. The harem conspiracy reminds us that even kings on earth could fall to human ambition. The harem conspiracy remains one of history's most vivid palace dramas, with betrayal, magic, murder, and justice preserved in ancient ink and modern science. It reveals the fragility of power, the dangers of unchecked ambition, and how a single slash could end an era. From the judicial papyrus to the pharaoh's scarred mummy, the evidence tells a timeless story of intrigue in the shadow of greatness. Ancient Egypt's final great ruler met his end not on the battlefield, but in the heart of his own palace, a stark reminder that empires can crumble from within. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If stories like this captivate you, the blend of drama, forensics, and forgotten scandals, subscribe to Ancient Odyssey right now for more deep dives into the ancient world. Hit the bell for notifications like this video and share it with fellow history lovers. Until next time, keep exploring the Odyssey of antiquity.